Hello, hello! David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. Welcome to the stream. Let me get the overlay in order. Hey, Ricardo! Thanks for coming. We got pretty good looking characters this time. I've got like an orc with a braid and the jester shirt, and you've got a human with a braid, and I think that's the sailor cap and some kind of decent looking armor there too. Anyone else who may be out there, if you say something in chat, you'll get your own little character on the overlay. The overlay is a Godot game that we made on stream last summer, and I'm just trying to get it as a proper overlay. Here we go. Fallen Ursus, welcome! What I gotta type? I gotta type stream tools, I think. Something else? And these messages are still coming. How do I stop those? It's hilarious that I forget how to use this overlay thing every single week. I should add like some special hotkey or something for me. I just press one button and make it work. I mean, we created this. We created this overlay. We can do whatever we want with it. Okay, how's everyone doing? What character did you get, Fallen Ursus? Oh, you got kind of a, looks like you got a beard and some sort of villager wear. Hey, The Clean, how's it going? I played or momentarily checked out your Rubik's Cube thing, which looks really cool, but I just could not quite get the controls doing what I wanted to do. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what that turns into. And hopefully, I don't know, it's probably my fault. It's probably me that couldn't figure out the controls. Looking forward to playing that some more. And you got kind of a frode orc guy with some plate mail and possibly no pants or green pants. Orc, how can you tell if an orc is wearing green pants or no pants? I don't know. It's a mystery for the ages. So, how is everyone doing? How are your projects going? Hey, I have no idea how to say your name. How does one say your username? DJ Kosher? Is it DJ Kosher? Is that how you say your name? Anyway, welcome to the stream. Thanks for hanging on Discord, checking out the rollback add-on. You got a pretty good character. You got your shield, some long hair. Looks like maybe pink robes, if the color is coming through. Yeah, by me, what I have had going on, I did that Nakama Godot client update, which I'm super excited about. I forgot to mention it when it happened, but a few months ago, the folks at Heroic Labs contracted me to help maintain the Godot client for Nakama, which it needed. There hadn't been a release in like 2 years, and there were some fatal issues in the last release that were totally fixed in the master branch, but people would need to know to go get the master branch rather than just grabbing the version from the asset library. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the idea that more folks will be able to use Nakama and Godot. Next week, I am planning to participate in the Godot Wild Jam. Is anyone else planning to do the Godot Wild Jam? I haven't done it in a long time. I think maybe I did it once last year and like 3 times in 2020. But I'm excited about that. I haven't done a jam in a while. Really looking forward to it. DJ Kosher says, bald in real life, so I will take the hair. I have been steadily losing my hair since, I don't know, I was like 16 or something. I started balding. It was not a good sign. And I used to have long hair. Did I ever mention this? I used to have hair like down to my stomach, and then it started slowly going backward until it didn't look very good long anymore. I think I finally cut it when I was 20, maybe 21, I cut it. But yeah, I had long hair all through my teenage years, and now I'm just running out of hair. The Clean, the version you tried was a bit scuffed. I don't know what happened, but after upgrading beta, major bug fixed itself. Cool. Are you updating that URL? Because I'll go check it out again to see where it's at. I mean, it seemed like things were working fine, and that I just wasn't figuring out how to rotate or at least reliably rotate the blocks the other way. So it was like I would press the trigger and the grip, and it would rotate the blocks the one way. But I'm like, no, I want them to go the other way, and I'd like just got it to happen once or twice with the 2 hands. Hey, Nionel. Wszystko w porządku. Jak u ciebie? what was I talking about? Oh, the Godot Wild Jam. If anyone else is doing it, I'm planning on doing it. I'll probably do some streams during the jam. It's going to be awesome, I hope. Oh, and I wanted to talk about RenderDoc. Have you guys ever used RenderDoc? So last stream, we were working... Oh, 9L, you got a sweet-looking character. You got like a... I don't even know what to call that staff-looking thing and like jester hat and the shield. RenderDoc. So we last week we were working on optimizing, in air quotes, optimizing the materials for the palette in this VR Voxel Builder prototype that we're working on. And then I had a discussion with Logan, who was on the last stream, after the stream, where he was asking, well, why didn't you do it this way? I'm like, well, I think the way I was doing it is faster, but I don't actually know. Rendering isn't my area of expertise. So I was like, well, how about I'll make like an example that does both these ways, and I'll load it up in RenderDoc and then see what's going on in RenderDoc. Fudge Monster 45! Jam looks neat, might hop onto it. Yeah, it is a good jam. It is a great jam. One of my faves. So anyway, the first time I ever used RenderDoc, it is the coolest tool. It is so cool. Let's just take a look at it for a second. I actually recorded a video about it because I was so excited. I'm going to publish the video on Monday. It's nothing special. It was just like me ranting and raving about how cool RenderDoc is and showing some of the baseline features. But it is amazing. It is a really cool tool. And I am very glad that I found it. And I'm going to be using it while we do any optimization so that I'm not just randomly guessing like, well, I think this is faster. I've heard people say something like that. So here I'm telling it to load up Godot, load up my Godot 3 experiments, this particular vertex color scenes, which was one of the scenes with a different way of doing this shader. If you launch your game in RenderDoc, you get this little overlay. If I hit print screen, it will capture the data from a particular frame, I guess in this case frame 306, and if I quit out of here, then RenderDoc will load up that data, and this is where the real coolness starts. So you can go to this statistics viewer thing. You can see the number of draw calls. This is a super tiny scene. There's 12 draw calls. Like how much video RAM it's using. And then over here in the event browser, it actually shows you each of the draw calls, and then you can like click on one of them, and it will show all of the OpenGL API calls leading up to that draw call. So I don't actually know how Vulkan works. I've never really looked into it, but the way that OpenGL works is that you like set up the state in a particular way, and then you issue a draw call, and then you make changes to the state, and then you issue another draw call. So these are all the API calls setting up the state leading up to this draw call. And if you click, there's a little clock over here. It shows you how long each draw call took in microseconds. So you can see, you know, if there's a draw call that took way too long, you can go investigate and see what's going on. A really cool thing, go over to the texture viewer here. If I click on a particular draw call, it will actually show what is drawn in that draw call. Like here it's drawing this the blue cube, here's the green cube, here's the presumably yellow cube. The red cube, and the colors look weird because at this point in the graphics pipeline it's still using linear color space, but I can click this little guy and it'll translate it into sRGB so the colors look right. And then Godot actually does that same conversion in like a post-processing step down here. You'll see the colors are now right, they're in sRGB, but you can actually click. So this shader for this draw call is program 542. So then the program has a vertex shader and a fragment shader. So I click that fragment shader. I can click view contents, and it will actually show the source code for that shader. In GLSL, you know, you write shaders in Godot's shader language, and then it's converting it to GLSL and adding just like a library of functions. So that's what most of this is. My shader is like 6 lines long, and it's in here somewhere. I could probably find it. But apparently, you can change the code in this shader, in this GLSL file, and tell RenderDoc to render it again, and it'll render it again to the texture viewer. Isn't that amazing? I don't know. There's so much like crazy cool stuff in here. You can view the vertex data that you submitted. So like I'm doing stuff with vertex colors. You could actually go check those vertex colors in here. I don't know. This is just the coolest tool. I'm in love with this. Has anyone else done any stuff with RenderDoc? I know it's a challenge, but you should read the chat more oftenly. Sorry. Let me back up here. 9L says, very well. I notice a bit of accent in your Polish. Well, yeah, I mean, I've always had an accent in my Polish. Is it worse? Is it worse than it used to be? Is my accent less good? Still crazy that you got to do a shader just to place some sprites. Well, I mean, I could have made those buttons in Blender and like set the vertex colors in Blender and set the UVs in Blender, but instead I chose to do them in code. And then I guess the shader, I don't know, I just didn't like the rules that Godot was using to choose how to mix the vertex colors with the texture. It wanted to like multiply the colors of the texture by the vertex color, and I didn't want to, I don't know. It's a very simple shader. I don't have a problem with making a little simple shader to mess with the rules. Yeah, sorry, 9L, I'll try to read the chat more often. DJ Kosher, is the measuring of the duration of microseconds for each draw? Yes. And to be honest, so I don't know if this measuring in microseconds is how long it took to do the state changes and return from this API call, or if it's that and what it took the GPU to actually execute that shader. I suspect that it's just the former, that it's just how much time in microseconds it took to do all of these API calls and complete the API call. But once you have issued this draw call, of course, the GPU is now going to go off and actually execute that shader. And I don't think that RenderDoc gives us the time it took to do that. I could be wrong, or maybe there's some magic button or some magic window that you have to open to get that information. But even this is great to know, because you have kind of two sides of your optimization, right? You have optimizing, getting all of your CPU work done to give the data to the graphics card, and then you have the graphics card completing its work in time for the buffer to swap. And you need to worry about both ends of that. So if this is only counting the CPU end, that's still very useful for optimization. If it's counting both, that would also be cool. I don't know. I only started using this on when did we do the last stream? I guess that was Friday, and then on the weekend my pa was in town. So I think on Monday I started messing around with RenderDoc. So there's still just like an unbelievable amount of features in here that I don't know. Now, about the accent, well, it sounds a bit more American than native. Well, sure. It happens when you don't talk a lot. I used to speak Italian natively, but since moved to Poland, and I have literally forgotten Italian. But once I speak it, there's no Italian accent. That sounds super cool, but way over my head, DJ Kosher says. Moved to Poland, not only have I literally forgotten Italian, but once I speak it, there is no Italian accent. Yeah, the human brain is a funny thing. There have been like stories of people who have gotten were in an accident and had brain damage and forgot their native language. Doesn't that seem crazy? And then it's like they took Spanish in high school or something, and now they can only speak their high school Spanish and not their native language anymore. Yeah, I wish I had more opportunities to speak Polish, but such is life. Anyway, RenderDoc equals awesome, and I've been messing around with that. So the project we're going to work on today, or maybe actually let me first talk about last week. So last week we were trying to optimize the material used by the palette by trying to just use a single material for everything on the palette, with the exception of that one transparent thing. And part of that was, I guess included in that, we were trying to get icons on these buttons. We succeeded. We got everything working. We were just using some temporary icons. Since then, I have put some permanent icons on there. And so I'm going to put on the VR headset. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to explain the project a little bit. And then today, we are actually going to not work very much in VR, probably not in VR at all after I give the kind of intro to the project. Because what I want to do is get the desktop version working a little better, supporting more of the features as a prelude to both get more folks trying it, because more folks have computers than have VR headsets, and also to get started on the multiplayer, because I want to play around with multiplayer building in this VR Voxel Builder, and I have two headsets. but only one head. So it would be a lot easier for me to get the basics of the multiplayer working on the desktop version, and then at some point later, I'll get one of my daughters to put on the other headset, and then we'll go in multiplayer and test it out in VR. So what's been going on in chat? Since I've promised to try and look at chat more often. The clean. Just wave your hands while speaking, and boom, Italian. Looks like your YouTube chat cuts the messages from Discord if they are too long. That's interesting to know. I guess they probably have different line length limits on them. Languages are just like muscles. If untrained, they fade away. Or you could just clone your head. What's the character from Zafad Beetlebrox? What is his name? From Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the alien character with the two heads. If only. All right, so what were we doing? I was going to put on the headset and show you what this project is all about and talk through what I did between last stream and this stream. So give me a moment to do that. All right, I have to fiddle with some things here, and then I should be able to get my screen casting. God, I've been having this problem lately with my headset losing my Guardian, just non-stop, and it's very frustrating. So it lost my Guardian again. And we're in. Let me press the casting button. Let's see, is it appearing? It is appearing. Let me make this bigger. Okay, so the idea of this app is that it is a VR Voxel Builder thing. So I can place some voxels out here. Oop, I want to use the other tool. But the unique thing about it, at least so far, is that you can create the voxels that you place out of smaller voxels. So I'm now on this smaller grid. I'm going to do my classic example of the flower. We'll just draw a little flower here. It'll be a red flower. Oop. Let me get around to the other side here, make it a little easier for myself. Put that little yellow bit in the middle. We'll use a different voxel shape for this one. That's like a half voxel. We've also got these sort of slanty voxels we can get in here. That looks kind of cool. Let me put another square one over here. So we've got kind of a turn going on in that flower. All right, so I created that new voxel block, and now I can place it in my world. Some features I don't show very often is that you can actually make things, I'll make it a whole new thing. You can make things that are bigger than a single voxel block. I don't know what I want to make. Let's maybe just spread something out here so I can show the fact of it. Oop, I went a little too far. So now I made this thing be two grid spaces wide, and I can come back here and then place something that is 2 grid spaces wide. I can rotate the objects in a bunch of different orientations, and that's what it does. That's what it does so far. The new thing is that I added all of these button icons. Last time we were messing around with some pre-made asset packs. In the end, I drew these. I am not a great pixel artist. So this is what I ended up with. I'm moderately happy with it. I wanted to do a 1-bit style, but 1-bit is actually really hard. I wasn't able to keep it going, so I settled on this kind of 3-color grayscale, which I violated here for the palette, which I think is actually kind of nice. You think color, you see the color, so you click it. I have another tool that I haven't added to the game yet that is going to be represented by a paintbrush. So I use some color on the paintbrush as well, but you can't see it because it's obviously not here yet. Now let me delete some of these blank voxels that I must have created earlier when I was messing around. So that's what we got. That's where we're at. Let me get the headset back off again, and I'll show you what we got of the desktop version so far, and we'll get to work. Hello, hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's a pity they can't follow discussion in English. Yeah, sorry about that. It would be really cool if like YouTube could do like real-time subtitles. That would be amazing. No, so far your English is fine. Yeah. I guess our new visitor, I wish I knew how to say your name, by the way. I have no idea how. If you put a phonetic version of your name, that would be great. I will do my best to not butcher it completely. But yeah, it's a struggle when there's a language you can read but can't really hear. There's a couple of languages I know medium well that I'm in a similar boat. Or actually, there's some languages that I can't understand at all, but I can read because I know languages that are close to them. Like I have a fair chance of reading some Czech and understanding what it's about, but like if someone said it, I don't know, I wouldn't know what the hell they're saying. All right, so let's go to the desktop version here. Oh, actually, I think it loads up the desktop version by default. I think if I just hit play, we'll get it. All right, so here is the desktop version of the game. You can do a whole lot less. I can place the blocks. I believe there's a way for me to switch to delete mode. Yep, if I press the tab key, I can switch to delete. And I think there's a way for me to switch to the kind of shape tool, which lets you kind of click and drag, but I don't remember the key. Let's maybe go look in project settings, input map, and see what we got. So we got the player forward, moving around. Where's my tab key? Did I do that without the input map? I may have done it just straight in code somewhere. Let's go see. It's been a really long time since I've touched the desktop version here. Okay, so hang on. This brought me to VR main. What I actually want to be in is the desktop main, which has a whole lot of nothing in it. Where honestly would I have put this code? Let's grep. When in doubt, grep. We'll search for tab. I have no idea where this tab key. Oh, here we go. elif event physical scan code. That is in desktopplayer.gd. I don't know why I did that in code and not in the input map. That seems odd. Maybe laziness. Maybe at the time I just kind of wanted to go through things quickly. Okay, so look, unhandled input. It's doing some stuff with whether or not the mouse is captured, which is a good thing to do when you have the kind of like first-person shooter look with the mouse. Here's where it's grabbing the left button. It looks like the middle mouse button is changing between placement mode and ray mode. Position mode and ray mode. Mouse wheel up. Oh, it changes the cursor distance. B, V, and tab. Why did I choose those keys? So B, V. Oh, I guess it kind of fits well for your hands. And then the tab key. This should all be in the input map. There's no reason for this to be literally in code. I want to have remappable controls, obviously, for accessibility. So yeah, maybe we'll move this into the input map as one of the things we do today in trying to make the desktop mode better. But that means I can switch tools here. Let me see. This is brush, and this is, ooh, that click and drag one. And what was it? Scroll wheel? What? Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, so this is really hard to use on desktop. It makes no sense on desktop. This mode should probably be VR only. But this mode is a ray. It's pointing a ray, and when it hits a surface, that's where it places the block. And this other mode, I can just control how far in front of me the block is placed, which allows me to place these blocks like in the air. But it's really hard to use. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but like visually, I just can't tell where that block is going to be. In VR, I can, but here it's just weird. The ray mode is better. But there's a ton of things we can't do. We can't change the color. Who is in on the stream with no name? Oh, that must be, oh, sorry, it can't even put your name on the overlay because we don't have a font that can display the characters in your name. Sorry about that. But you did get a cool character. You got like a sweet helmet and it looks like a black dress. All right, let me catch up on things in chat here. Sorry, 9L. 9L used to study Chinese? Or he's just kidding about Chinese? Oh yeah, language exchange is good. Okay, Ricardo, I just recently found out you can use grep-i to skip binary files. That is cool. I also did not know that. I always just ignore the message it tells me about binary files. Anyway, I don't want to get too involved in the personal messages between 9L and our friend from China. But yeah, so there's loads of things we can't do here. We cannot change the color of the voxel. We cannot make a new voxel. We cannot change the which voxel we are placing. So there's loads of things the desktop mode needs. So let's get the desktop scene loaded up here. Doesn't have a whole lot in it. We're going to have to do a little bit of design work to kind of decide how we want this to work. In VR, we have the palette. In desktop, we probably actually want menus, right? Let me get up a sketchpad thing and try and think this through. Oh, I just switched browsers to Brave, so it doesn't remember me or my previous doodling. So I guess the question is, do we want an on-screen menu, or do we want you press escape or something, or I don't know, E or I, maybe E, because I guess I'm designing this left-handed or right-handed. So my right hand is on the mouse and my left hand is sort of on the left side of the keyboard. Again, we need the keyboard remapping so that someone who's left-handed could maybe put the keys on the other side. But I guess because we're using mouse look, on-screen menus won't work. We are going to need to hit a button that will load up some menu. And then how do we want the menu to work? We could mimic the VR palette and put some tabs on the right with buttons, use the same icons, and put the same stuff in here. That seems like a good way to do it. It'll need to be a little bit different in that we'll have to kind of reserve the top, bottom, and left edges. In the VR version, we have the palette and we actually have buttons hanging off the edge, but we can't have things hang off the edge in this menu. So yeah, I think that's a good first design, unless you guys have some better ideas. Yes, come over to my Discord, everyone. Let's pop over to Godot and make some stuff. So this will kind of be the desktop palette. I don't know if I want to call it palette though. Maybe so, because there's going to be more than one menu, right? There's going to be like a game menu, so you're saving, loading, quitting, and there's going to be the art creation menu, which maybe we could think of as like an inventory. It's like an inventory. But for, I guess, parity with the VR one, let's just call it palette for now. We'll call it palette. I may rename it later. I rename things all the time. And we'll need to make a scene, which I guess we'll call palette. It will be a user interface scene. So I'm imagining there will be a canvas layer in the main scene. We will place this on top of it. We're going to want it to have a background of some kind. For now, we'll just do a color rect, which we'll make full rect. White is not a great color. Let's go with maybe something grayish, a light gray. I kind of like the idea of being able to see the edges a little bit, to still see that the scene is there behind you. So let's put a little margin, maybe like 50. And then to these ones we do -50, right? I think. Yep. Bottom -50. And inside of here, we will start building out our interface. So that would be, what would be a good control node for that? Some kind of container. What is a good container when you want to have the edges reserved like that? Are we just going to nest a bunch of H boxes and V boxes? I guess so. You can't just reuse the VR menu by picking by mouse? Sorry, I may have missed something before. I probably could. I probably could have the palette, and then you pick it with the mouse, like it just sort of comes up. Do we want that? I could see an argument for doing that. The palette being also in the desktop mode means I'm able to test the palette when on the desktop, which is good. The consistency from a design perspective is also good. The one thing that I don't like about it is I want the desktop experience to be like a solid desktop experience. I know this is a prototype, but I one of the things that I wanted to prove with this prototype was that I could, with a single code base and as much shared code as possible, make a good VR and desktop experience. Something that I'm worried about with making a VR game, a VR multiplayer game, is that there just aren't that many people with VR headsets. So I want to be able to say, this game is VR first, it's a VR native game, but if you don't have a VR headset, we have an equally solid desktop experience. And I don't know that like just looking at that palette would be a very good desktop experience. I feel like custom menus would probably be better. But yeah, there definitely are some advantages to using the same palette. The UI system in Godot is awesome. It works like CSS, maybe even better. I think better than CSS, man. Having the containers and the auto-sizing stuff, like that is fantastic. I guess now that we have CSS grids and Flexbox, things are a little better, but yeah. I think I'm going to keep going down this path of making a custom menu thing. But you are right, Ricardo. We could reuse the VR menu. I think I'm just going to try it this way. Maybe I'll decide that this is a bad idea and that your idea is better later. But I want to kind of follow down this rabbit hole and see where it takes us. So I think I'm going to build the sides with just like some H boxes and V boxes, but that means we need to pick which things are going to kind of go over the edges, right? I think this makes sense. Where the... Sorry, I have to cough. I'm still getting over my cold from last month a little bit. Can you believe that? A month of sickness. Anyway, I think having the horizontal ones be the full ones and the vertical ones be the ones that get cut off makes the most sense. So let's do that. So we'll start with an H box, which we're going to do full rect, and inside of it we are going to put some panels or other containers, I guess. We'll put the this container to be the left, another container to be the right, and then in the middle we'll put a VBox. And then in here we'll put another container to be the top, container to be the bottom, and then in the middle will be the palette pages, which I guess another container for those. This would be pages, which sort of works like our VR one. Let's just load up the VR scene. That'll help me know that I'm not missing anything. No, not here. I want the VR Builder. Oh, and then okay. So in VR, I put the palette under Builder VR Palette. So I should probably put it under Builder or Desktop Palette. I had put it so far in main. Let me drag that over. And let's load up the VR palette scene so I can make sure that I'm doing all the same things. So the kind of right, that's the tabs. And then I do have a node full of pages which get loaded kind of dynamically and set up here. We'll probably do the desktop one in a similar way. There may be some opportunities there for some code sharing, but let's just put it together the way we want it, and then we'll look at it afterwards to see if we can refactor it to use some code sharing. 9L says, VR is still quite a niche, isn't it? Yes. I think no one knows how many quests have been sold, but the estimates are something around 10 million. And then PSVR, I think maybe like 2 million or something like that are the estimates. And those are the biggest ones. So, my total addressable market with this, because I'm not on the PlayStation, is probably something in the neighborhood of 10 million. And then how many people are interested in VR voxel builders, some fraction of that. With a multiplayer game, that's kind of a risk. You need to have people to play with, right? So I have this thought that for any VR game that I'm making, that I'm envisioning multiplayer for it, I need to have a strategy for both a VR and a desktop version to, expand that market a little bit. Because I want people to play my games. I want people to play my games and have fun. So we got our palette. Oh, no longer exists. Sorry about that. Let's save to Builder. VR. Nope, not VR, sorry. Desktop. Palette scene. Okay. So what next? I think the tabs are probably the most... Jeez, I need to cough again. The tabs are probably the first thing we want to get going. That's the things on the right. Ooh, we got to set some size flags, though, to have these sized the way we want. So let's say the left is going to get a min-rect size of, I don't know, 200. I don't really know what that means. No, that's too much. 100. And we'll do the same for the right size. I'll probably need to change all of these once we actually see it in practice. And then the VBox container is going to have a size flag of horizontal expand. Probably shrink center. That might not matter though. The top will do a similar thing, but we'll do the Y min-rect of 100. Bottom, we'll do min-rect of 100. And the pages with a size flags of vertical expand. Shrink center. That seems like it might be too small, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. So, on the right side is where we're going to put the tabs. I'm now actually kind of regretting naming these left and right because we do have to consider people who want to swap those. Oh no, I'm gonna keep them for now. And in here we need to put a button for each of the tabs, like we have the different things that are on the side of the palette in VR. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted. Gotta focus, David, focus. So let's add a script here. I'm gonna rename this to palette. And let's go look at how we did the VR one for inspiration and consistency. The VR palette, make some changes to its mesh. We don't need to think about that. We have setup palette. We probably need an exact equivalent kind of method. Or do we? Hang on. So how is it set up in VR? Let me go look at how this is set up in VR. We have got this builder scene. Oh, here we go. Builder manager. This builder manager is used for both VR and desktop. And somewhere it must be kicking off the setup of the palette. It loads it. And it calls setup palette. Okay, so we have attach VR mode. And attach and detach desktop mode. So we need to do the same thing. I actually don't really like how the VR mode and desktop mode are sharing the same builder manager class. I've been thinking about this since I built it, that maybe they need to like share a parent class and I'll have like 2 children classes, just so that I don't have all of this junk that's only used for one that's mixed in here. Like all of these variables right here are used only for VR mode. And it's weird that they're in here taking up space with, then these variables that are used only for desktop mode. So maybe we should do that refactor. I could imagine some things where there's just less code, that maybe that would be okay, where you're just mixing it all together. But now I'm going to add like a bunch more desktop variables. And like this isn't a small class to begin with. Like there's a lot of stuff in here. So yeah, let's refactor this. Ooh, what's going on here? Apple will boost VR with its hardware. If Apple does something good or not, the industry is copy-pasting it. Yeah. I am excited to see what Apple ends up doing. I suspect it will be crazy expensive, and I don't own any other Apple stuff. So like it doesn't make sense for me to get it because I can't integrate with their whole ecosystem, and that's kind of like Apple's whole thing. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. No, it'll take years. They first gotta tick the foldable iPhone though. Oh hey, our Chinese friend has joined the Discord server. That's awesome. The iPhone 6 is foldable if you only fold it once. Hey, Sean Sill, welcome to the stream. Yes, we shall refactor. This will be a short refactor, not as big as like 2 streams ago. We spent the whole time refactoring. All right, so we are refactoring our builder manager scene. So what I am thinking is we are going to make some like builder manager VR, builder manager desktop child scenes. So let's start that. We have builder manager. We are going to make a new inherited scene. We're going to change this to builder manager VR. I guess I probably will be putting the VR headset on again, because before we create the desktop version, or before we go too far into making the desktop version more functional, I will want to make sure that we haven't broken anything. So builder manager VR, let's detach this script. Then we will attach a new script. Oops, let me save this first though. This will go into builder manager VR. attach the script. This way it already knows where to put it. I'm always happy about that. And we will copy in some of the stuff from the original Builder Manager for the VR mode. So right now we have these attach VR and detach VR. These we are going to be copying over. So we will remove that, jump over to Builder Manager VR. Oops. I just accidentally copy and pasted the name of my dentist. There we go. So we have that code. We have those variables too from here that we will need to bring over. These function voxel builder things, we'll bring them over here. And we need to extend the script. So how do I get my autocomplete going for that? Come on, VS Code, you can do it. All right, I know what the path is. I'll type it manually. I'm sure there's a way for VS Code to autocomplete that though. Builder Manager VR, or no, Builder Manager GD. There we go. And in fact, I should probably move these Builder Manager VR ones into the VR folder. That makes a lot of sense. Let me make sure everything is saved, and I will do that in Godot because it will update some of the references for me if there are any. Shrink this guy down. Builder Manager VR. And then up into here. All right. Save here. We'll go see if VS Code has exploded. It has exploded a little bit. We'll close that. We'll reopen it in this spot. And a couple other things. I want this manager to still have the attach VR, detach VR functions, but with like a sort of placeholder implementation. So we'll have attach. What is it? Attach VR mode? Or is it just attach VR? Attach VR mode. Attach VR mode. I'm just going to copy the signature from here. It's kind of long. Oops. And we will push an error. Attach Builder Manager. Attach VR mode unimplemented. And we'll do a similar thing for detach. So the idea is the parent class, will have these placeholder methods which just push a little error, which will help me notice if I've done something wrong. And then the VR child class will implement these methods, and the desktop one will implement the desktop methods. We'll do the same thing for those desktop versions. David, are you going to continue your network project as well, or is it done already? I'm going to continue it. I'm still working on the videos in the tutorial series about rollback netcode with Godot. I will continue to maintain that Godot rollback netcode add-on, SG Physics 2D. There's still lots of people making their own games with it and contributing stuff, making issues, making merge requests. I don't know that I'm going to do a lot of work on Retro Tank Party in the next couple of months. I'll probably put that actual game on hold, but the open source libraries and stuff I'm going to keep working on. I do intend to come back to Retro Tank Party at some point. I really want to add AI, like computer-controlled tanks to it. I think that would be really cool, especially because there's a couple of ways to do that, but one way would be to make deterministic AI logic, which I think would be so cool to experiment with. So I'll come back to that game later, but like the rollback netcode and the physics engine, I'm definitely going to continue working on. In fact, we may end up working on the physics engine on stream in a couple of weeks because there's getting to be quite a lot of open issues. And one way to motivate myself to work on things is to make them be the topic of the stream. So in a couple of weeks, we may have a stream where we just like implement things from issues that other people have opened. Behavior trees for the win. Yeah, maybe behavior trees. I'm not sure. I'm just excited. I'm just excited to dig in and explore a couple of different techniques. Oh, you got kind of a cool character, Sean Sill. You have an orc with looks like a what is the word? The dude with the hammer. Blacksmith. You have like a blacksmith overalls going, beard, some hair. I like it. All right. Where did I leave off here? So this theoretically should work. All I need to do to make it work, I think, is to open up the VR main scene and have it use the the Builder Manager VR rather than the normal Builder Manager. So that's here. Here's Builder Manager. I will delete this, and we will instantiate the Builder Manager VR, rename it Builder Manager, and drag it up to the top. And if we've done everything correctly, this should load. I think I'm actually going to convert the desktop one right away too, because it'll be quicker to test. That'll help catch some little issues and save me a little time before I have to put on the headset again. So let's create a new child scene of Builder Manager, new inherited scene. This will be Builder Manager desktop, and we are going to save it over here. Do the same dance where we detach the script and attach a new script, which will inherit from the... Come on, I know you can autocomplete this VS Code. I've seen you do it. I've seen you do it. I don't know why I can't convince it to do it right now. All right, I'll manually type it again. Source builder builder manager.gd. Delete this code. We'll go extract the desktop code from our main Builder Manager here. That's where we have this attach desktop, detach desktop. And actually, maybe I'll copy and paste rather than like cutting it, because that will make it easier to make the little stub methods that we're going to have there. And we will grab the desktop specific variables. And then we'll turn these into the stub methods. You guys have no idea how much I'm enjoying using VS Code writing GDScript now, because I have the Vim key bindings. It just, I just feel more productive, more powerful with the power of Vim. Oops. Okay, and this is going to yell at me because I'm not actually using these variables. I'm just going to go quick, put little underscores in front of them so I can get rid of that yellow squiggly line. No, we'll be right back. Man of culture, a Vim user. VS Code and Vim, what do you mean? So there's a plugin for VS Code that lets you use Vim key bindings. Vim, if you're not familiar with it, is a text editor, an old text editor. I've been using it since the late 90s as, I guess, my main text editor on and off. Lately, I've been kind of drifting away from using actual Vim because there's just so many good specific tools. I've been using PHP Storm for PHP for the last 3-ish years. Before that, I used Vim. And then I sort of drifted into using like different tools for all the different languages that I use, and kind of got fed up with that. and lately decided I'm going to try and unify everything on VS Code. I'm going to use VS Code for PHP. I'm going to use it for GDScript. I'm going to use it for C#. I'm going to use it for C++. And I've just been bringed. Thank you, Anonymous Bringer. Please make yourself known, and I can thank you by name. Also, like Python and Markdown. Anyway, it's really nice to be able to use a single text editor rather than jumping all over the place. And in VS Code, I can have Vim key bindings. So those 20 years of being a dedicated Vim user, I could put that to work by using these keys that I have burned deep into my synapses. It's just the way that I use the computer now is hitting the Vim keys. Anyway, what were we doing? We were setting up this. This is apparently wrong. What did I mistype? Source, builder, builder manager. What am I getting wrong here? Source, builder, builder manager.gd. It looks right. Let me go copy and paste it from here. I must have made like a tiny typo that I'm just not seeing. Are you happy now? Yay. And there's really good integration between VS Code and Godot, by the way. There's a plugin, an extension that I'm using, two extensions actually. There's one for GDScript development, there's another for C#, and it's able to do almost all of the same autocomplete stuff that you get by working in the Godot editor by communicating between VS Code and the Godot editor over the language server protocol. So it's almost as good as working in the native editor with the different tools and stuff that the native editor gives you. It's not all the way there. It's like 95%. There's still some things that the Godot editor does for you that you can't do in VS Code. But it's close enough. And getting those Vim key bindings, man, that is worth it for sure. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to go over to the main desktop scene and replace the builder manager, delete you with the now desktop specific builder manager. And we're going to rename it builder, not Bidler, builder manager. And this should work. I'm just going to try running it. Let's run it and see what happens. Hey, all right, so we did it correct for desktop. We did our refactor correct for desktop. Let's test it out for VR, which means I have to put the headset back on. No, 20 years. I'm 25. That's practically my entire life. One day you'll be old like me, Nyanel. Enjoy it while you are young. All right, let me put on the headset. I'll check out the VR and then I'll look at the rest of everyone's messages because I know I'm behind. Probably I should have my microphone attached to my face. Hey, I need to recreate my Guardian. Stationary, confirm. And you guys can't see nothing until I switch over here and hit this button. And we need to deploy our changes to the headset, which is not recognizing for some reason. Probably a loose cord. Let me fiddle with some cords here. There we go. Hit the little Android robot here. Oh, yes, you need to have access to my data. Is it coming? Is it working? Nope. I needed to give it that access. All right, let's try again. I guess I can check out the comments while we're waiting. I thought Vim is only text-based. Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, Vim is only text-based. I mean, I guess there's gvim, but it's just, putting a graphical window around text. But it's you know, it's just the keys, just the key bindings. DJ Kosher, I used Vim for a while in school, but cheated with the arrow keys. Could never get my brain to do the JKL cursor movement. Yeah, I'm addicted to that JKL thing. And I don't even type on a QWERTY keyboard. I type on a Dvorak keyboard, so they're just like all over the place, but my brain does it. Vim is productivity! You know it. I love Vim. Worst part about VR testing is VR testing. Got to get the wireless GD, probably mean ADB setup going. Yeah, I've been thinking about trying to figure that out. I don't mind so much, especially if I can get into a rhythm where I'm using Godot's like live deployment thing, because that does work with mobile and Quest development as well, where you know edit a script, hit save, and it gets sent to the headset right away. And usually that can save me from doing, you know, a bajillion deploys. Anyway, folks, this worked. It worked. So I'm going to commit the refactor to Git, to Git in my manly voice, and then and then we'll start on getting the menu integrated into the desktop version. Oh, did I not show you guys the screen when I was doing that? Ah, what the heck. Well, I mean, it worked. It looked the same as that it always does with the palettes and everything. Not on QWERTY. You are next level. Yeah, so I type on the Dvorak keyboard. I have to tell you this. So I saw a documentary on the History Channel or something about the QWERTY keyboard and Dvorak, and I was like, oh my god, typing is my life. I need to switch to Dvorak. This was 2001. And since then, I've typed on the Dvorak keyboard. It took a really, really long time to get up to the point where I was typing as fast as I did previously on the QWERTY layout. And in the end, I honestly am not convinced that it made that much of a difference. Like, it was a lot of work, and you know, now I kind of can't go back. But I don't think it allowed me to type any faster. There's a possibility that it saved me from the repetitive, what is the thing with your joints when you do the same thing over and over again and you get, the repetitive stress syndrome or whatever that is called, because I don't have that. I don't have any problems with my hands or wrists from typing all day. So it's possible that being on the Dvorak layout helps me with that. It didn't make me any faster. It didn't make me any more efficient. It means I have to deal with remapping keys and things all the time. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd recommend it to anyone else. But I did make that transition, and I am stuck with it. All right. So let's do that Git commit I was talking about. Okay, so we need our changes to source builder manager. I don't want to commit the stuff that I started with the desktop palette because I want to have that. I want to commit that when it's more ready. Source builder desktop builder this stuff. Git add source builder VR. That should be all good. Oh, we need those. The main. Source main. And we still see in our untracked files the this palette, which is good. We don't want to commit that. I'm going to quick look at the diff to ensure that it looks right. And it pretty much does. That seems right. So, what branch are we on? We're on the main branch. I think that I can commit this to the main branch. It's done. It's self-contained. So we'll say refactored builder manager into builder manager VR and builder manager desktop. Yeah, push it. Ship it. Ship it. So, yeah, now we'll start actually attempting to integrate this. Good night, our Chinese friend. Ooh, already past midnight. So your laptop Dvorak too? Yeah, I mean, the keys aren't labeled as Dvorak keys. I mean, so I don't know that I can show you my laptop. I guess I could. I can't see what my screen is seeing, but you are possibly seeing my laptop keyboard and my normal whatever keyboard. It's labeled QWERTY, but it's mapped Dvorak. I have the caps lock key configured to let me switch between QWERTY and Dvorak because there's lots of games and things that I can't remap the keys, and then I'm stuck with like WASD in like really weird spots. But yeah. Repetitive stress disorder. Yeah, the RSI or whatever that is. I know that's a big problem for people in our shared profession / hobby of being on the computer all the time and typing all the time. But I've never had any problems with it. Thank you, DJ Kosher. A wizard. I think being a wizard is cool. I like that. I like wizard. Makes me think of, oh, I'm gonna make an 80s reference. I shouldn't do that. Has anyone seen the movie The Wizard? I love that movie. Super Mario Brothers 3. Anyway, so we have this palette. We need to go to our Builder Manager desktop. We need this palette to exist here. Previously, I was creating a lot of things in code that maybe I don't need to. This is adding the player scene programmatically. We probably can just do it in the scene itself now. We don't need to do this loading. Yeah, we could actually even change that in the VR scene too, probably. We're adding all of these things programmatically, and we could just add them in the scene now. So I guess let's make that change too. So, Builder Manager Desktop, we have a player scene, which we're going to add. When we added it in code, did we just name it player? Probably. We didn't name it anything. We let it take the default name. Okay. So we'll leave that down there at the end. Save view. We'll change this desktop to now say onReady var player equals player. We can get rid of all this junk. All we need to do now is initialize it. Or hang on. No, we still need to do it this way. I'm thinking weird. Okay, so this isn't attaching it to our own scene. This is attaching it to the main scene. So we can't do the thing I was just talking about. Never mind. I take it all back. We cannot put the player here because we don't want the player to be here. We want the player to be on the main scene. So, all right. But there probably are some things we can put here. Let me go look at the VR code as well to just make sure that the same is true here. Yeah, okay, so this is not putting it on itself. It's attaching it to like the AR VR origin, the left controller, the right controller. So this still needs to do what it's doing. We can make it a little bit better though. We don't need to do these like load scene things. We could do, we could preload them to constant variables. Is there an advantage to still doing it this way? I think there might be actually. So if we preload it, that means as soon as the script is loaded, it loads those, but that should be fine. Right? Because this scene in the script won't load unless we're in VR mode. What I'm trying to avoid is loading like VR stuff in desktop mode or desktop stuff in VR mode. So yeah, I think we can though. I think this is fine. We can turn these into constant preloads, which will make our code a little bit nicer. So function voxel editor, although they are scenes. Function voxel editor. Yeah, this is fine. It's fine. Preloading is good. Let's do that. I guess a little more refactoring. Just a little bit. Function voxel palette. And block editor. What do we do with the block editor scene? What does that do? Oh, it's another thing attached to the right controller. Okay. So function block editor equals preload. And we'll go grab these. Okay, so then we can still instantiate these in a similar way. We are just going to... All right, we don't need these at all. And get rid of the packed scenes. And then here we will do function voxel editor. We'll instantiate that scene. Function voxel palette. And here function block editor. Wait, what did I do wrong here? Block editor scene. Oh, we need it both on the right and left. Okay, so we do that one twice. Okay. All right. And let's go to here. So get rid of my onReady player. That's no good. But we can change this to another constant preloads. This will be player preload. And we can copy and paste this string. All right, that makes our lives a little bit easier. I expect both of these builder managers to keep getting bigger. So we want, ooh, what did I do here? I accidentally copy and pasted something I shouldn't have. All right, let's hit undo a couple of times. Const player equals preload. I probably should have saved some of that before I hit undo. And then this will be just player instance. All right. Now, we need to put our menu somewhere, but I think it's fine for our menu to live on this scene. That palette that we just made, we'll need to add a canvas layer here, and then we can attach our palette. Oops, wrong dialog. We can attach our desktop palette, and it'll just be a matter of hiding and showing this. So Builder Manager VR. Oh, I'm in the wrong scene. I gotta close these VR scenes so I don't start changing stuff in the wrong place. Okay, desktop scene. That's where we want to add our canvas layer and our desktop palette. Yes. Let's jump over here, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to close the Builder Manager VR so I don't change the wrong thing. Okay. So here we can do an onReady var. I guess we'll call it desktop palette. I'm a little worried because we're doing this parent class, child class thing about accidentally having variables in the child class collide with variables in the parent class. So maybe we'll do like that to try and, I don't know, mitigate the chances of that happening. So we'll grab our palette object. And yeah, so we will need a key to hide and show the palette. I'm thinking E, because we're WASD walking. I'm thinking we'll put the tool buttons along the bottom row of the keys, and then E to although I mean E is commonly like just using an item. I don't know, it works for now. And of course, we're going to do the physical scan code E because pertaining to our Dvorak conversation in Godot, if you say, let's add, well, I guess we'll call this desktop palette. If I do physical key and press E, that is E, right? Whereas if I did key and I pressed what has E printed on it, I would get period, because that is what is at the E key on the Dvorak keyboard, right? But if you use a physical key, then you're saying this position of this key on the physical device, right? And that is what you should do for all of your controls in Godot. I think it was added in Godot 3.4, the physical key thing, but that makes it so people like me on a Dvorak keyboard don't have to remap everything for WASD to make sense, right? So keep that in mind. I haven't seen The Wizard, but I've seen Lord of the Rings to Zach out. So The Wizard is a video game movie from the 80s. It is nothing like Lord of the Rings. You should check it out, though. It's awesome. Sean Sill, gotta go have fun. Tab would be good, actually. Tab would be good. Oh, and Q and E for the rotations. Great idea, The Clean. You are spot on. Tab would be good. I'm already using tab for something, but we'll use something else for that something. Tab is a great key for opening up the menu, and Q and E would be great for the rotations. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. So okay, let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. We are going to do physical key tab, and yeah, the rotations. Those aren't player movements. What will we call that? Say block, rotate left, block, rotate right. We'll code those. We'll put those on the input map right away. All right, and I think we're gonna have to wipe out. We have the player script is doing some of its own input things. We're gonna have to get rid of these. Yeah, this stuff is just not appropriate to be here. The get input movement stuff, I think that makes sense on the player. The camera is attached to the player, I think. So anything that manipulates the camera makes sense on the player. Builder, player, let's get up the player scene. Yep, the camera is here. I guess the voxel editor is attached there. So like it's no problem for the player to mess with it, but it's also on the builder manager because the builder manager needs it for like everything. So we will keep some of these things here and move some of them out of here. So these button things, these things make sense on the input map as well. Other people might want to remap them. Anything we imagine might want to be remapped. These things too. But let me just copy paste this out of here for now, so that I can feel safe deleting stuff. We'll go up to Builder Manager, Desktop. What? Seriously? Can you guys see this? VS Code is saying command buffer is not yet implemented. PRs are welcome. That's a Vim command. I guess I need to make a PR for that. If I'm going to be using this on a daily basis, I'm going to need all my Vim commands. Okay, so let me switch here manually, like a schmuck. All right, we'll just copy paste that there so that I can delete some stuff. Oh, where did I put that? I put that in Builder Manager. That's not where I want that. I want in Builder Manager Desktop, the desktop version. Okay, and we'll just forget about that now. It's invalid code, but it's gonna let me come in here and just delete stuff. So this entire thing can go. And this entire thing can go. So that's manipulating the voxel editor. I feel like this should be doing something else? Like, how are we switching the mouse mode? Let me just make sure we are switching the mouse mode. I'm going to comment all of this out for a second. I mistyped my regular expression. There we go. And let's just run it. And I want to see... okay, well, I got to get rid of that. Builder Manager Desktop. Let's hide at the palette. Run it. And if I press Escape... Okay, so it is taking me out of mouse capture mode. What's actually doing that, though? Although, okay, how are we going to divide up responsibilities here? So let's, I bet that's in the desktop main. This is VR main, close UVR main. We need desktop main. Main desktop. Okay, so this is totally what is handling whether the mouse is captured or not. I think that makes sense in the main scene. That sounds right. So let's have the main scene do everything with whether or not the mouse is captured, which means this bit of code needs to go to the main scene. And then the player scene, all it's going to do is check if the mouse is captured, and if so, then it, pivots the camera the way that it is. And then we don't need this code at all. Okay, so the player scene is now only doing things that relate to player movement. And that seems correct. So let's go to the Builder Manager desktop here. And rather than directly looking at keys, we want to do all of these same things, but we want to use the input map to do it. Oh, Sean Sill, you gotta go. Thanks for coming. Catch you later. You may have left minutes ago. I'm sorry. The clean. It's nice that the shortcut is recognized and not just not working. Yeah, that is cool. The maintainers of that extension have something there. They probably just took like a massive list of Vim commands, put all of the ones that aren't implemented in there to try and encourage people to contribute to the project. It's a brilliant idea. Okay, so the things we need to keep. If event pressed set mouse. Okay, so yeah, this is the thing we moved into the main scene. And now we need to redo all of this stuff. So let's add stuff to the input map for button left, button middle, wheel up, wheel down. And the keys B, V, tab we're going to use for something else. So what key should we use here? This was switching between add mode and remove mode. And also, too, I'm a little bit suspect of these features. Like I was showing earlier, this is switching between the ray mode and the cursor mode, and I'm not entirely position mode. So it's the cursor mode. The cursor mode is either ray or the cursor mode is position, and I'm not entirely convinced that that position mode is even a good idea on desktop. So if we get rid of that, that does give us that gives us some extra buttons, like the middle button could maybe be used to switch it. Or we could go for a lower key, like down here, Z. Although I wanted to put all of the tools on the lower row. Q and E for rotations. Usually the tilde backslash is used for bringing up some kind of terminal, and I love terminals. So I'm going to hang on to that for now. Space is usually for some kind of jump. I mean, I guess we could move over to R, to T. R kind of makes sense because it's like remove mode. Maybe temporarily we'll say R, unless anyone has any better ideas. Right mouse button. Yes, we're using the right mouse button For nothing! Okay, how's that going to work though? So left starts and stops selection. The way that we have this working right now is you're either in remove mode or add mode, and when you're in add mode, the pressing left button adds the things. To make the left and right mouse button thing work, we would have to like switch to remove mode and start the selection, which I mean we could do. The thing is that I'm thinking about adding a third mode based on so Voxel, which I'm stealing like a lot of user interface ideas from. They have 3 modes: add, remove, and paint. And why does this look different than I remember? So here, there's add mode, remove mode, and paint mode. And paint mode is actually really useful. It's saying you don't add a voxel, you transform the voxel into whatever you have currently selected. And I may want to have that third mode also, because it's super useful when I'm messing around in here. So then I would paint. How do I change the color? Be blue. So now, rather than putting new voxels, I believe in... it didn't change my mode, though. Come on. Voxel web version. Here we go. This should change the ones that are there, right? Rather than having to do this, like, subtract and then add. So I do kind of like the idea that you're in a mode rather than just pressing the right mouse button, like, immediately deleting. I mean, it could be an on-screen thing, and then like we press 1, 2, 3 to switch between the modes. Like we could have like a little icon. Hang on, what time is it too? Ooh, 11:30 already. Or the right mouse button could not immediately delete it, could just change the mode. Just tapping the right mouse button, switch the mode. All that feels a little unnatural. Well, we just need to pick something. Let's say right mouse button for now, switches the mode, but you still actually do the things with the left mouse button. Hey, Crabsoft, welcome to the stream. Ooh, you got a cool character, man. You got an orc with a mohawk and a shield and some sweet armor. Looking good. Looking good. All right, so, yeah. I'm thinking we'll just make it be right mouse button to switch the mode, even though that's going to feel a little weird, and left mouse button to activate whatever mode you're in. So let's just move this to the input map really quick. So we got a map, left, middle, right, wheel up, wheel down, B, V, and we already did tab for something. What is this? This is this is the one that would be the right mouse button. What is fam? It's a way of saying family, a way of saying gang, crew, you skies. I like you skies, by the way, because I'm from Wisconsin, where people say things like you skies. All right. We need to get into Godot. Input map. So we added to bring up the palette, we need to add, what would this be? Tool use would be the left mouse button, I think. Left mouse button. We have change cursor mode, which we are going to use the middle mouse button, even though it may be a bad idea, but let's keep it for now. Middle button. We have what would we call that? Is it like draw mode? Draw modes. This would be change draw mode. Change draw mode. That is what we'll do for the time being on the right mouse button. Okay, and then we have the different tools, which is brush tool, which we had on the key B, shape tool, which we had on the key V, the physical key V, and we have the cursor move with the mouse wheel. So how are we doing that? That was, we were counting on the down, so it was wheel up, wheel down. I always get confused by the way some of these things are named, but so cursor, what is it called in the code? Cursor position distance, cursor distance up, cursor distance down, mouse button. So this is, I guess, wheel up, I think. We'll find out. We'll find out in a moment when this either works amazingly or fails catastrophically. All right, I think that's all the things we need in the input map. Let's switch up our code here. So now we're going to say if event is action pressed, and will it autocomplete them? That'd be really great if it did. So tool use, no, if I start typing this, will it autocomplete? Tool, yeah, sweet, sweet VS Code integration going there. Oh, geez. Crabsoft, do you help me get over the hump and actually start using Git? Awesome. That changed my dev entirely, so I wanted to drop in and say thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming and saying, man. It's great to hear that kind of stuff. Oh my God, DJ Kosher is stuck at the top. It's very motivating to hear people come in and let me know that things help them. So thank you very much for coming and giving the kind words. Wisconsin. Oh, DJ Kosher, you're up in Minnesota. Cool. I used to spend a lot of time in Minnesota because my uncle lived in Minneapolis for many, many years. And my sister lived in Minneapolis for a couple of years. But I used to go visit my uncle at least once a year. He was a great guy. He passed away much, much too young. How is it like in the USA? I've heard so many things about it. I mean, that's a big question, man. DJ Kosher, I got you unstuck. You're free. All right, so here we go. Is action pressed would kick off voxel editor start selection. And actually, this can be one giant elif event is action released. Will that tell me if it's released over and over, or is that just released? I forget how actions work with that. Is there a just released? Okay, well, we might have to revisit that a little bit. Tool use. Or wait, it's fine here because this is an unhandled event. So that will always be a just, right? Unless it's not this event, and then that just always returns false. Hang on. Let's explore the event object here a little bit. So is there like a way to check the action without checking if it's pressed or not? Because the event should still have pressed on it, right? Maybe let's take a quick peek at the docs. So input event action. Okay, so I can just get the action name. I just have to check if it's an input event action first. Input event, if I say is action released, returns true if the given action is released. Not relevant for event types of exact match is false. It ignores the modifiers. Okay. But like, is it just always going to return true if that isn't the current action? I don't know the answer to that. I'm tempted to just go look at the Godot source code. Does anyone know the answer to that? Crabsoft moved from Texas to Iowa last year, but ended up in the Minnesota region. As far as my company is concerned, y'all got weird accents. You know, I feel like Midwestern accents and our silly words don't get enough respect, so I'm going to proudly say "you guys" on all of my streams. Okay, let's get the SG Physics Code 2D, SG Physics 2D code up here, because that will let me look in the Godot source code. Input events, are they separate? No, they're probably all mixed in one header file. Let's look for input event action. Yep. Okay, so I want to see what happens. Or no, not here. So is action released? I want to know what happens here. What happens here? What does this do? Event get action status, input event. So I guess this is where we need to look. Wait, so it needs to know if it's valid and it's not pressed. So it's valid under what conditions? Under what conditions is it valid? Okay, so it checks, is this an input event action? Yes or no? If it is pressed, okay, so if there is another input event action that is not this action, this will, in fact, return false. Okay, so this will set the pressed to false for sure. But this last bit here, if event action get action equals action, I think this will say it's invalid if it's not, if the event isn't the specific action that we're asking for. So I think it will only say it's released if the actual event that we're getting is for this specific action. So I think we're good. I think we're good. I think this will actually do what we want. Okay, moving on. We have the middle mouse button, which we called that action. What did we call it? We called it change cursor mode. Change cursor mode, which is going to take all of this stuff. I am afraid that we may not actually get to doing a lot of the actual UI for this because we've just been refactoring the whole time. I'm sorry, guys. That seems to always be the case, but like, that's just the nature of software development, of game development, that it's like, okay, I need to go make a change over here. Oh, look, that code is terrible. Before I make that change, let me make the code not terrible, and then add the thing. Because if you don't do that, if you don't stop to do that, you will end up with a mess. So wheel up, wheel down, that's cursor distance up, cursor distance down. Distance up. And while I'm thinking it, we will just put the cursor distance down, copy and paste this stuff, which that code should be changed a little bit for the new actions. So if cursor mode equals this and pressed, we don't need to check pressed. Do I have any other stuff like that? Ooh, I just learned the VS Code key to make word wrap go away. Hang on, I'm gonna look it up. I need to start memorizing these. I have a little VS Code document in Google Docs, and I'm doing it over on this screen because you guys don't need to see my Google Docs. I know that will cause the Alt-Z. Nope. Oh, there we go. Okay. I know that will cause the overlay to stop working, but now it should be back. Okay. So I love being able to turn word wrap off so I can see the end of that line without having to scroll over there. This code seems fine. We can keep that. What's going on in chat? DJ Coach, not originally from Minnesota, Spain. Iowan accent is the silliest. Iowan accent is the silliest? I'm actually not real familiar with like what's different about Iowan accents compared to Crabsoft. What is your Godot question though? Some reason you can't use just released? So just released is not for actions, right? Or am I getting that wrong? Is action hang on, event just, I'm gonna go look in the docs. I thought that just released wasn't for actions, that it was for something else. Let me find where I put the docs here. Where's just released on here? Just released. Or is that on input? I think that's actually on the input singleton. Okay, so is action just released is on the singleton. And what we are dealing with here is the events. And the reason that we are doing it with the events is because we want game controls to only come through on unhandled input, because we are going to have UIs that the player is going to interact with. And when they like click into, you know, a UI, which this is the left mouse button right here, or the right mouse button or whatever, we don't want it to simultaneously also trigger this game stuff to happen. And we do that by doing unhandled event. Anyway, it turns out, at least, assuming I read the code right, assuming I read the C++ code right, that the is action released on an event is effectively the same as just released. It looks like it should do the same thing. So it's got to trigger. It's got to just trigger once. Yeah, I concur after looking at the code. No, when you Americans move from one place to another, you say y'all got weird accents. When we Europeans, we say y'all got weird language. By the way, the word y'all is very specific too. We don't say y'all over here. We don't. We say you guys. So the idea of releasing to me is a singular action where pressing can be done multiple times. Oh, Ricardo knew already before I even looked it up. The Alt-Z. I gotta read chat more often. You're right, Nile. I gotta look at chat. DJ Kosher, it's on input. It's on input. You're probably yelling at your screen because I'm not looking at the chat. Grabsoft makes sense. No input event would be generated for nothing happening. Y'all is friendly. Your is terrifying. Your is terrifying. What about use? What about use? No respect for the use? Okay, where was I? Are we coding today, or are we just are we just having a cultural exchange? I wouldn't mind. I don't mind. Okay, now we're getting down to the keys here. This I should be able to copy and paste and just change a little bit. Okay, so this becomes event is action pressed tool or brush tool. Thank you for the autocomplete there. I would have definitely typed that wrong if it wasn't for it. Is pressed shape tool. And this one we changed to the right mouse button, but that doesn't matter because it is using is action pressed. Was this change draw mode? There we go. All right, I think our code is now in the place that it should be. Using actions, we will find out if any of this works. All right, so left mouse button is working, right mouse button, okay, yeah. It is delete, that is cool. We appear to be in ray mode, and I think it was middle mouse button, yep. Ooh, this is backwards though. Or maybe not backwards, but just wrong somehow. It only moved me forward, but not backward. So let's see the code for that. So cursor distance up, cursor distance down. Oh, they both have pluses for some reason. How did I do that? How did I mess that up? Okay, let's jump back in here. Because I'm using VS Code, the auto reload thing doesn't work. There's got to be a way to trigger that. Still have to figure it out. Okay, here we go. So now I'm able to move it both forward and backward. So that's working. What else do we have? We have switching tools. So that's go back to ray mode. This is brush mode. If I switch here, this is now shape mode. So that's good. What else? I keep going to Godot rather than VS Code here. Okay, so tool seems to be fine. It looks like we're completely right about the event thing, so that's good. Yeah, that's everything tested. I guess maybe other than UI cancel. So how can I test that? I guess that's I'll start to draw something with the shape tool and then cancel it. Hey, works. Ooh, but now we're also out of So we're using the escape key to release the mouse capture, but we're also using it to cancel a tool. So I think we can do something smart about that, actually. Let me think here. So can we ask the voxel editor if it's currently selecting? We probably can. Let's go to voxel editor, GD. I'm going to look for selection start. Or start selection? Was it start selection? Yeah, so it just passes it in. So it's not keeping track of if we're selecting or not. That's interesting. Unless it's the tool that keeps track of that. Voxel base voxel tool. It's not keeping track of anything either. All right, so I guess voxel editor probably should keep track of whether it's selecting or not. So we'll have like some variable like in selection. In selection false, and we will track if we are in a selection. We start, set it to true. When we stop or cancel, set it to false. I don't think pausing should change that. When we change tools, we should cancel the selection. Does that happen automatically? Let's find the code that changes which tool we're using. Oh, come on. Where is it? Register voxel tool, unregister voxel, set current voxel tool. So we call detach voxel tool. Does that do anything good for us? Or no, because that's on the actual voxel tool itself. So I think we'll want to go here and say in selection equals false also. Okay. And then let's add a method to check this. So, or we can actually, could we just make that be a variable? People check voxel editor in selection. I like having it as a method. Is in selection bool return in selection. Okay, so then I think we could do something smart here. I think with that, we can say if voxel editor is in selection, then we will cancel it, and then we also need to set the input as handled. And I forget the method to do that. It's like set handled something. Oh, geez. Does anyone know the method you call to mark input as handled? I'll Google it, but you guys always know everything. Godot mark input as handled. Set input as handled. Get tree set input as handled. Beautiful. Did someone get that before me? Crabsoft can also never remember it. Yeah, because there's multiple ways to do this stuff. Because okay, so you have input that comes in through input _ input. You have your input that comes in through unhandled input, and then for controls, there's another method, or not? Yeah, another virtual method that you do for control input that I can't even remember what it is off the top of my head right now. And you set that input is handled in a completely different way. It's very confusing. Very, very confusing. There we go. Okay, so what this should mean is, if the player is currently in a selection and they press escape, it will cancel the selection, and that's all it will do. If they are not in a selection, it should uncapture the mouse. So let's see if that actually works. All right, so I am doing this. I guess I have to switch to a tool that has a selection. And if I hit escape, I am still here. And if I hit escape again, I am uncaptured. Haha, beautiful. So we are able to make the player controls and the builder controls and the overall mouse capture, uncapture controls completely separate. They're not aware of each other at all. But because we are setting this input as handled, it doesn't go on to the next piece. So we're all good. I guess we could have gotten in trouble if there was an order thing, like if the other one got called first. Then that wouldn't have worked, but it did work. It also makes me wonder if I should do set input as handled on all of these. I mean, there's a chance that we might want to catch the input in other places, but I don't know. We might end up doing that later. I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. We'll wait till we have the problem, because then I'll be able to picture better, what is the right solution to it. Input functions have given me nothing but headaches, so I just poll these days. Yeah, I mean, if there is an argument for polling. Like if you're trying to have the input be in your process or physics process, polling is frequently the right thing to do there. Although again, if you want to have some things that are only game controls that don't happen when you're in a UI, you do need to mess with unhandled input. And usually what I end up doing then is I have unhandled input just set some flags, which then in my process or physics process method, I look at those flags. Input is complicated. Input is especially complicated in an engine like Godot, where it also has UI stuff built in, and how you make all of that play nice together is very interesting. Anyway, we need to add one more thing. The whole reason we are here, the whole point of this, which was to be able to open and close the palette. So, elif event is action pressed. It was desktop palette, which maybe shouldn't be called desktop palette. It should probably be called toggle palette. Let's change the name of it. I named it first, which meant it wasn't a very good name. Where is it? Cursor, distance, brush, blah, 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 blah. Here we go, desktop palette. Sorry for yawning. Shouldn't yawn on stream. Actually, you know what I'm always saying every time we have a stream is like, oh, I barely slept last night. I only got 2 hours of sleep or whatever, which does frequently happen to me, but I slept very well last night. I went to sleep right after I got my daughters to bed, which was at like 8 p.m. But I was really tired. The whole rest of all the other nights this week, I was getting my usual like 3-4 hours of sleep, and I needed to catch up so I could be fresh for you guys. I gotta deliver for you. Crabsoft. I just use a lot of state machines. Yeah, state machines are great. Still doesn't handle. Well, I mean, I guess you could have a state in your state machine for the UI is open now, so don't do anything. But yeah, I had I think I still actually have a case in Retro Tank Party where if you have the pause menu open, pressing the arrow keys up and down will move you through the menu, but also move your tank forward and backward. Because you can't really pause, right? It isn't a pause menu because it's a multiplayer game. The menu is open and now I'm tweaking my settings, but the game can't stop because there's other players in it. And I could fix that. I could fix that by messing around with unhandled input. Okay. So we need to toggle. This would be palette visible equals not palette, or no, so desktop palette visible, desktop palette visible equals not desktop palette visible, and that was the longest road to implementing the first thing that we came here to implement, right? Or not that button, tab. Yep. Hey! Oh my god. Okay, so this actually isn't doing everything we need it to do because the mouse is still captured. So when we switch to the desktop palette, we need to also uncapture the mouse. And can we still keep this code independent? I think so. So we can basically do exactly this same stuff. Or wait, no, the opposite of this. This. And we need to, okay, and we need to switch between it. We need to switch between visible and captured. And I think we're good because the only state we're relying on is the actual input, get mouse mode, and everywhere has access to that. We don't need to like make some global custom variable. Okay, so we need to say if desktop palette visible, then we want to make the mouse mode visible. Otherwise, we want to set the mouse mode to input mouse mode captured. Okay, now let's try that. So we're here, we're doing things. I press tab, I now have my mouse to go do stuff, and then we're back here. Perfect, perfect. What time is it? It's about to be noon. Oh my god. Well, I mean, we did some good stuff. I was hoping we would actually be building the palette, building the UI. Whereas what we actually ended up doing was just refactoring everything so that we could have sane controls and showing and hiding the UI. But that's a start. I hate that we do end up having so many streams where all we do is refactor. I feel like that's kind of like anticlimactic for the viewers, but you guys let me know. Like, do you like streams better where it just turns out we end up refactoring the whole time and wish we were doing more streams where we're actually like accomplishing things, or is that cool? Is that okay with you? Like refactor streams? It didn't intend for it to be a refactor stream, but that's I guess how it went. I definitely would not want to have done the like the extra work without doing the refactor first, because I don't want to just create nasty, ugly code for myself, even if it is for your entertainment. Let's take a look at these changes. So we added a whole bunch of input map stuff. We did up the Builder Manager desktop scene, moving in all of the controls for manipulating the voxel editor there. We put the palette on the desktop manager scene. We removed all of this input handling out of the player script that's not actually related to the player. We started the palette. We built like sort of the boilerplate structure for the palette, and we did a little bit more refactoring on the separation of the builder managers. And yeah, added this in selection thing. I don't know. I think that's a solid bunch of stuff. We are still on the main branch, which I think is okay. You know, we've basically refactored things into a position where the palette can exist. Once we start like actually putting stuff on the palette, I might make my own branch for that because I won't want to commit that until the whole palette is working. But I think this is committable as one thing. So this will be refactored input on the desktop and added boilerplate for the desktop palette UI. So what do you guys have to say? Setting a regular bedtime was one of the best decisions I ever made. Stuff builds up over time if you don't address it routinely. But now you're building us home. Okay. Yeah, so the sleep thing, man. I had a regular sleep time before I had children. Children make life complicated. I cannot set a regular bedtime. If I want to have any life of my own, I need to do it after my kids are asleep. And yeah, that means staying up late, like all the time. And it means waking up early because my kids wake up at like 5 a.m., right? So no matter when I go to sleep, I'm waking up when they come wake me up, which is usually at 5 a.m., but can sometimes be in the middle of the night because I need something. And I don't know, sleep is a disaster. Anyway, but now you're building a solid foundation, so big wins. Yes! First stream I've caught, but definitely like refactor streams more than production. Really? Interesting. Refactor streams are very informative. Yeah, Ricardo, refactoring can be satisfying. Krebsoft says, no kids is my superpower. It is an unappreciated superpower that many people have and don't realize they have it. No, kids are wonderful, and having kids actually has a bunch of interesting advantages for game development that I would not have thought about originally. So my kids are great playtesters. They are fantastic playtesters. They break things like you wouldn't believe. My Monster Revolution game, which I made for a game jam like a year and a half ago now, my daughter found a secret that I didn't make intentionally. She found a way to walk outside of the collision, and like I was flabbergasted. I'm like, you are a wizard. You found like an amazing secret in this game that was not put there on purpose. Also, like, they have me playing games with them that I wouldn't otherwise have played that have surprisingly interesting game ideas, like design ideas. So because my kids are young, we play a lot of Minecraft, a lot of Roblox. There's some like weirdo Roblox games that I would not have played if I didn't have kids. I probably would never have played Roblox at all, but that have like really interesting game design ideas, which are really good inspiration. So I don't know. Kids are great just as having little humans to love and love you. But also like there's some interesting game design inspiration stuff that you can get from your children. Anyway, It's 12:04. This is our stopping time. Thanks everyone for coming. I think this was a great stream. I had a lot of fun chatting with you guys as well as working on the project. And come join the Discord if you're not there already. We can keep in touch between now and the next stream. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one. Thanks for coming, everyone. Bye-bye.